Welcome back to another in our series of great chapters in the Bible. Our chapter today comes from the Old Testament book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 31, an excellent wife. The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. What are you doing, my son? What are you doing, son of my womb? What are you doing, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and pervert the rights of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to the one who is perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. I make it no secret that one of my favorite parts of a wedding is when the bride enters the view of the attendees of the ceremony. It is almost universally then that a gasp can be heard among the people. I've often been privileged to be the one who presides over the ceremony as a minister. I get to experience this moment many times as I watch the crowd. However, this is the ceremony, and after this comes the difficult task of making a home. I recall someone telling me many years ago, a man marries a woman hoping she'll never change. A woman marries a man hoping she can change him. I sometimes wonder at the truthfulness of this statement in some marriages. But regardless of how a marriage begins, the time to come can be a rocky one when the honeymoon period, so to speak, is over. Marriage counselors will often hear remarks from couples like, "We fight all the time," or "He or she works all the time and doesn't spend time with me," or "We've just grown apart." Then we have the usual problems like money and communication and intimacy and emotional needs that are so common among many couples. Perhaps you've heard on rare occasions a couple that say they never argue. Others say they always get along. And still others say their partner is their best friend. How can this be? Is it possible? You have to take them at their word and say it must be possible. Maybe you doubt that a couple can really be that happy. Could it be secretly we all wish that marital bliss could go on and on and on, but have sadly settled for the same old, same old? But what if? What if What if we found the secret to happiness in marriage that goes beyond the honeymoon period? What if the answer was right here in chapter 31? It is right there. Did you see it? Right there. Look, the very first verse. The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. The entirety of the book of Proverbs has been, here's wisdom, listen, and I'll tell you. I know that's perhaps an oversimplification of it, but in reality, that's what Solomon has said from the very beginning. In chapter 1, verses 5 and 6, let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance, to understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. Now, King Lemuel finishes this book of wisdom the same way. How does any child learn? From the mother and father in the home. If the reader of the book of Proverbs is perceptive, then they have understood that what is being taught is for our benefit, that we might live life to the fullest. Beginning in verse 10 and for the 22 verses that follow, in true poetic acrostic style, the writer shares with us the portrait of an excellent wife. The unobservant might think that the man stumbled upon or discovered or by chance found this jewel. But a closer look reveals much more. The wisest of married couples know that it takes two, no, three, to complete this most rare of jewels, that of the happy marriage. It takes God, for we read in verse 30 of this chapter, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. It takes a husband who will trust her in her completely. Verse 11, the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. And it takes a wife who is willing to seek the best for her husband. Verse 12, she does him good and not harm all the days of her life. When faith, trust, and desire are working in a marriage, then we shall truly see something rare and remarkable. Yes, a man may have his qualities, but he shall achieve his greatest potential when he makes his marriage a priority. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. He knows what he has is a true treasure. In verse 28, her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Sadly, too many marriages wither on the vine when acknowledgement, recognition, and praise are lacking in the relationship. She certainly has the tools to care for the family. She can look after the day-to-day needs of the family, the cooking, the sewing, and the dressing of the children, looking after the ways of the household. But there is so much more. Consider verses 25 and 26. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She does not fear the future. Did you see it there? What is she doing for the next generation? Not only teaching by example, but in words of wisdom, in word and in deed. Why would anyone not want to complete this process by declaring what the final verse tells us? Verse 31, give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. What is the fruit of her deeds? A happy marriage, a happy home, and a happy family. A reputation of an excellent wife, like a jewel of exquisite beauty and worth, is a rare find indeed. But she has surpassed all. What do you think? What stands in the way of your happy marriage? It's not luck. It's not happenstance. It's not the burden of one or the other's shoulders. It's a shared commitment and desire to become the rarest of jewels. But desire must be accompanied by work, constant and continued. Is it worth it? You'll know by what your next move is. Either business as usual or rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. Right? And Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow and look at another of the great chapters in the Bible.